Should I do my predictions now? Fuck it. So this is Saint's list. And then I added... So this is a list of real expectations and copium. Okay? Yeah, I'll enhance. And then I added extras. So I have to this list. What was it? So things that I think would be good. First, let me put this. Right, we'll talk about this in a second and why that could be good. And I think I added more solo main or more main content. All right. So before we go over this, let's talk about the things that are obvious. So it's very obvious that we're gonna get Theomine. It's very obvious that we're gonna get a new class. So not a gender unlock, a new class announcement. And then we're gonna get one extra gender mention. So like it'll either be this or, so this female assassin or fighter. Okay, it's one of the two that Saint thinks. And he like broke down the order yesterday of why he thinks it's gonna be one of these two. It's more likely based on the order that it actually would be fighter, but we also have never seen... Yeah, actually thinking about it, it's probably going to be a fighter, but maybe it'll be an assassin. So these are both pretty good. And then I asked him, do you think there will be another gender other than male summoner? So yeah, obviously we're going to get one of these. I wonder if they're going to change male summoner. Theomine date and item level, pretty obvious. He had removing Pheons from something or lowering cost. I definitely think they should lower the cost on some of the items and remove them from some, but this is kind of the copage take, he said. I asked him, I said, is this copage? New Abyss raid. This one I thought was pretty interesting. We haven't gotten ones in a long ass time. I don't really know about, like, is it worth making a new Abyss raid? I guess they're doing Abyss dungeon. They did bring back Abyss dungeon, so you could bring back Abyss raids. But I also feel like Abyss raid content just feels kind of weird. Like, there's no HP pools, and I don't know. This could be pretty cool. They took out Mystic and Casher, and then they brought them back for events. Balance patch, number squish. I could see maybe doing something like that. They did it. He said they did it in the past, and people were hitting billions. I didn't know that back in the day. Gold River appearance. I think he is going to show up. Lost Ark Mobile. I think they mentioned this a long time ago, or they were hiring for it, so maybe they could. I think Lost Ark on console would be fucking sick, to be honest. I know that they've added a lot of controller support, and it would bring in a lot of new people, and a lot of MMOs now like seem to be wanting to do this. Honestly, I would love to be able to just do my Chaos Dungeons in bed, and I think that would be cool. You can already do it, but just having it on a console could be cool. Shushar Warrior model update. We're probably going to get that. No more little short warriors that are all stocky. They'll be a little bit more like long. Doesn't look that different from what I've seen, but that'd be good. And so a lot of these things I feel like aren't that... Yeah, reducing homework contents daily, weeklies. So this list for me, when I saw it, Lost Ark show, this is like a show. That's like, I feel like that would be the Lost Ark, the Patrick the Starfish thing. Engravings overhaul or new engravings. I think that this is something that they should do. So, all right, I want to talk about like the main things that I got away from talking to him last night, and things that I kind of agree with, things that I not necessarily don't agree with, but things that I think they should focus on. So for me, this again, so this is just, this list I think encompasses a lot of what you'll see. Okay, so these are things that I think would be good. So let's put those here. So this is just an example of something. So the other day, all right, let's things that I think would be good. Okay, so my main problem with Lost Ark that I think should be solved. Okay, so the biggest problem I think with the game is exactly what Saint wrote here, which was new user retention efforts. So let's think about this in a way that's probably realistic. Okay, so I think that there are a lot of ways you could do this, right? Many ways, and I've thought about this more and more and more. And one of the things that I had mentioned earlier was that like other games do what other games do well. I think almost every game fails to do this well, but one of the main problems with MMORPGs is specifically with Lost Ark. So a long time ago when I was with Saint, I would watch a stream. He used to have a little bit of free time. Oh, he also has sailing overhaul, I think. Reworking sailing and ocean content. I used to go into Saint's stream and he would do his dailies and he would end his stream generally with a little PvP. Okay, and this has nothing to do with PvP, but he would end his stream doing something that was not really relevant to the progression of his character. He used to do this a lot. Okay, and what was nice about that wasn't the fact that he was doing PvP, is he was doing something to break up the monotony of his grind. Now, Lost Ark is a grind-based game, and I don't think that's essentially a bad thing, but I think that those grinding activities are about being as efficient as your time with possible, right? You're trying to do your Chaos Dungeons, your Guardian raids, your whatever, your actual raids, and then move on to the next character, right? Now, there are ways I think that you can reduce that. Like I talked about the idea of rested raids. I think having rested raids isn't a bad idea, especially as like you're expanding your roster more. There's different ways you could do rested raids. I think Saint had an idea of like giving people extra mats on that character if they missed a raid that week, like extra leap stones or something when they go back to do it the next time, or getting a percentage of the gold or whatever, right? These are just ways to get people a little bit, you know. I think also he said that he doesn't like the idea of the fact that you lose anything for doing rested content, but I also think that it's kind of weird if you just give people full materials for having rested, then what's the point of even doing the... I do think that you should reward the people that play every day for some... Like, what's the point of even doing the... I guess if you just want to play, but then the game really becomes a... I mean, it's not a bad idea if you're going to add in more content that we'll get to in a second, but anyway... reducing a little bit of the effort that people are, you know, the hours is bullshit. It's tonight, okay? Anyway, but I used to go into Saint's stream and I would see him do other stuff. Now, you know, he would say that, well, he doesn't have as much time anymore. But that's also a decision, I would argue, that you just want to be as efficient as possible and farm as much as possible. But there's always a way to do that in any game. But I think that there needs to be more activities in the game that allow you to feel like you could waste your time doing them, right? Now, will everybody do that? No, but I don't think they shouldn't exist for that reason. And I also think that if the only activities that exist in the game are about being as efficient as possible, it's going to train you to feel like you have to be doing these things all the time. Some people really enjoy doing that and they don't care. It doesn't bother them. Some people do it because they feel like they have to. And I'm not saying I'm not saying it's wrong to do that, but I think that when you don't introduce other types of content that's genuinely fun to do, that's easy to get into, you're just going to start having this mentality of just I have to farm, 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 right? And then when those are the types of activities that you're doing, you're then going to gatekeep out other people that are going to waste your time or make it harder for you to finish said content, right? You're then going to start looking at engravings and experience level or whatever because you're just trying to finish as fast as you can. And so I feel like there needs to be more content that you don't really care about who you're doing the content with. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't care about what engravings that person has. You just care about them being there for you to do like the said activity. I brought this up in the beginning. Do you remember when you remember when Moek was there? You just wanted more people for Moek, right? You just wanted more people there on the island. You didn't really care what their engravings were. Now, I'm not saying that this is the I mean, if you got an ad, I can't help you. So I'm not saying that this is the end goal or whatever. Like that Moek is the solution. I'm just saying those types of activities were great because you didn't really care about what the people are geared as. Another example is Challenge Guardians and Abyss Trials, or Challenge Abyss, right? The fact that that's something that lower geared people interact with and they're getting gate kept on makes absolutely no sense. And a solution to that, I'm not supposed to give the solution, but Saintone and I said like the book of coordination. The fact that you go in to do Abyss trial and you do challenge Abyss or whatever, challenge Guardian, and your character feels worse doing it, that sucks, right? Like if you're a spec-based class, that blows. It's not even fun. Like your character just feels shitty. You know what I mean? It doesn't even feel good doing it, right? Also, I just want to say this. I know you're saying just matchmake challenge Abyss. That's not the point. And I actually always hate when people, I'm not saying that this is you specifically, but I hate when people suggest like, oh, just do hell mode raids. Okay, but that's not a good solution. Like, you shouldn't defend that the system sucks balls to begin with and that there's a way to work around it. Like, that's not a good solution. Oh, just matchmake it. No, but it doesn't feel good to do it regardless, right? Who likes doing their Abyss, their challenge Abyss? Nobody. You feel like a poop version of your character, right? But if you used the book of coordination and anybody could do so imagine like, so when someone signs up to my group, I don't want to, if they're 3x3, I'm like, fuck, man, this kind of blows, right? But if you could be 5x3, you could bring any character you want, you could play any class that you want, and you wouldn't care. You would just take anybody because everyone has the book of coordination, and you get to play your class and it feels good, right? It actually feels good to do that content. And then Saintone had a great idea of adding cosmetics behind them because it's on a weekly rotation. So when like, you know, Velganos comes up, you're not like, fuck, it's Velganos. What if Velganos had something cool that he dropped? And then you're scaled up and your class doesn't feel like shit. You're 1475, 1490. That's great. You know what I mean? There's lots of ways to make those systems better. But that's what I'm giving you an example of, right? Things that it allows people to play together. Lost Ark needs a way, if you're not going to like reset the tiers, you need a way to like bring the player base together, not on all content, but on more content, right? Another thing would be life skilling and revamp. So this is a big copium take, right? But I want to give you an example because again, it's not my job to figure this out. A lot of games offer other ways for you to stand out within the game and feel like useful in the community without being stacked in item level or engravings, okay? And so what we remember we were talking last night, and imagine if there were like, they expanded upon the professions. So you know when you're doing like tree cutting or fishing, I mean, it's dog shit. There's a tree there, but it's dog shit, right? It's just like, what is the point of even, you level up your fishing, you level up your whatever, but you don't really get anything out of it, right? It's not that cool, right? But a lot of games allow people to like progress their characters in those ways that don't require you to be the most geared fucking person. And some people really, really enjoy doing it. You know what I mean? They really enjoy gathering and crafting. Not everybody does it, but some people love that that part of the game. And so we were thinking, okay, well then how could you go about making, like what service could a player provide? What service could a player provide to the community that makes sense in Lost Ark? And just hypothetically imagine if you were really good at like, I don't know, like you were really deep into the profession tree, and one of the professions or whatever, like a blacksmith hypothetically, right? What if you were deep into it, and like if you think about it in WoW back in the day, you would hit somebody up like, yo, I need an enchanter. What if somebody was really deep into it and they had like a % chance, right? The deeper and deeper they got into it, a 10% chance to, again, just re-roll one stat on your bracelet, give you an extra roll on a bracelet. Or they had a % chance to, you get a 5x3 accessory that's fucking ambush master, adrenaline, 100 quality, but it's expertise. What if they had a 10% chance to re-roll the stat on that? So, or a chance to re-roll that. So they could re-roll it from expertise to another stat. So then that accessory isn't dead anymore. You know what I mean? So you get this, fuck man, I got this shitty stat. Is there anyone that can re-roll this for me? And then you pay that person an X amount of gold to re-roll it, and it could hit big. This is just an idea. Again, I'm not saying this is the solution, right? But there are ways in the game to like have players work together, and that person You don't give a fuck what his engravings are. You know what I mean? You don't give a shit what... I think it'd be too OP if it's a 100% chance reroll. Maybe you could make it a 50% chance reroll. I don't know. Maybe you can only reroll it once and make it a higher chance. Maybe you go from expertise to domination, Keck W. But at least that person has some use in the game, in the community. And I feel like regardless of how you could go about doing that system, there are ways to do it, and that's what Lost Ark needs more of, right? More content that you can progress your character and have fun that breaks up the monotony of the daily grind. And I think Saint was saying that he would like to, last year they did so much quality of life stuff, but they actually didn't fulfill on a lot of the content promises that were going to come out. Like where's the big Frog Guardian raid or whatever, right? As an example. I don't actually think Lost Ark needs more of that. I think that stuff sells more. I think that stuff is more exciting to like us. But I think that when you get into the game, right? When you get into the game, and that for me, I've always talked about is the most important thing. I think they should layer out that stuff because the QOL stuff is cool to the people that are playing it, but it's just like, oh, that's really cool. But where's the new raid, right? But when a new player gets into the game, they have all of these raids already there. So what's going to be more important to them? Making the game feel more fleshed out. I think Lost Ark's biggest problem is that they hit really good success on all of these raids, and it's raid. And you know, Korean MMOs are known for classes and classes and classes and classes. But I think Lost Ark needs to flesh out more as an MMO and work on all of these things that already exist in the game. Like he had a cube and boss rush overhaul. I think that's super important. I think you have this sailing content and islands. I love the beginning of the game, dude. My favorite part of the game was going around and sailing and doing these islands. And honestly, they were kind of dog shit. But I really didn't care because it was fun going around in the world. And that's always going to be at the launch of an MMO. But I think if you revamp those and make those better, that's like, yeah, it was peak fun. It was peak fun. It was just like you just go around. You're just an island boy exploring the world. That is something anybody can do and anyone can enjoy. And so that's what I think the game needs more of. More focus on those things is way better for a new player experience. So maybe you don't need to do a new tier anytime soon or whatever, but if you can make that newer player experience feel more engaging and fun rather than like, because dude, I gotta be honest, man, like, I know Saint, we'll talk about tonight, he always says like, oh, like, the beginning of the game isn't actually that bad. I guess it's not actually that bad, but you're not even playing the beginning of the game. Like, you're not even playing it. I don't know what it's like on Korea, but if you're not getting it, you're just fucking doing buses. You know, you're not even experiencing the game. And look at fucking Rhino, right? Like, a great example is Rhino, man. Rhino went on to do his own Vicus last night, and they're hooked. So if you can get into the game, I think you can actually have a great time. Like Rhino and Sour Lips, they asked me for help on Vicus. They ended up doing it themselves. And they've been pushing their 1445, 4x3. These guys are playing all of the time now. So they got hooked into the game. But if they can't experience that, then they're going to quit because you're not getting, what are you actually even playing for? It's just a honing simulator, right? Like you're just honing your character and getting busts through raids. That's not that fun. So I think other things that newer players could experience to keep them engaged in the game, which is essentially what, new player retention efforts. I think for me, this is what I care about the most at LOAON because I know we're getting Theamine. I know we're getting some Pog Crazy classes. I know I'm going to watch it tonight and I'm going to bat chest my shit. Oh, this fucking looks, I'm excited about that. But that for me is what I want to see them touch on. And I feel like life skilling is a freebie, bro. Like life skilling and crafting is such a freebie. Sailing content, such a freebie. Revamping some of the earlier activities in the game to be expanding upon those, such a freebie, man. You know what I'm saying? It's too easy to not do. You already have it. Every MMO does that. And it makes the immersion feel big. It makes it feel like more like an MMO. Because I know in Final Fantasy, bro, some people just craft. I swear to God, they just play the game for the crafting. And I know WoW's doing good things with the crafting nowadays. You know what I mean? But Stoopzz, I spent 500,000 USD on the game. I don't want to. Yeah, but it's not. Here's the thing, though. not everyone will do crafting. Not everyone will do sailing. Of course not. Some people just live for the raids, but that doesn't mean it shouldn't be an option for the people that like to do that stuff. Even if 20% of people engage with the system, I think MMOs should have that. That's what an MMORPG is about, right? That's why it exists in the first place. That's why crafting and engaging exists in the first place. That's how you get new players, right? Yeah, in BDO, there's literally life skill got guilds that life skill for money and have better gear than grinders, but they don't even use the gear. Yeah, but that's the thing, man. Like you have. I really want to use this example. A lot of people have their own perception. No, I know. You know what I mean? A lot of people have the perception that like because they wouldn't do it, it doesn't mean it's not important in the game. But you're never gonna get that type of player base where it's less monotonous because the churn of a grinding game, people burn out all the time. Same with BDO, MapleStory. If you're just introducing grind content, people are going to burn out that way, right? And oh, you're saying in BDO you loved it. Yeah, I mean, I would love that, you know? I would love more, and anybody can do that, you guys. Anybody can participate. You know what I mean? You know how cool it would be if, like, you may not have the best gear, the best engravings, the best class, but you're really good. You have, like, you're slinging fucking... And I know there's a cap on life skilling, right? The life skill cap where you can't just farm wood forever, and that makes sense. But if there was something that you could do, or if there was, like, a super rare tree, right? Like, there's a really rare tree or a really rare fish. Like, fishing doesn't just have to just be, like, you throw the thing in there, you press tree, pull, literally fish. It could be a super rare-ass fish that, like, allows you to craft or make something that's really useful, or whatever. Expanding upon different things, like, you know, excavating could lead to jewel crafting, where you could you could buff gems for people, making it like 2% stronger, or you could re-roll a chance to re-roll a stat on a accessory. Like, that would be so useful, and anybody could do that, and I think that'd be awesome. Anybody could do that, and people could play the game for that. Because you have all of these islands, and then imagine if you go to an old island, like imagine if by going to, you sail around the game, and there's different fishing spots in the world that have a chance to drop X fish or whatever. Then imagine if, and I know you can say bots dream, but whatever, bro. Like, you can't just run that, you can't just, who gives a fuck? It's about like making the game better, not about like catering to bots, because that's just making the bots, letting the bots win. Imagine if different islands had, you could sail to an island and like there's different tree spawns at different islands. So you go to an island and they're like, oh my god, I found the fucking blue, you know what I mean? That's great, right? There was a game that only focused on raids, or it was WildStar. Look at that game. Look at, I mean, I don't know if WildStar failed only because of the raids. It could have failed for a lot of things. And I also think if WildStar came out at a different time, it might do, who knows? I don't know. There's could be a lot of factors, but I don't think only focusing on raids is a good thing. And I think these are, I think everyone in my chat would agree that the best way to bring the player base together, if you don't want to equalize things and allow a new tier, is to create new activities where all players come together to do something where it's not about the gear, right? So that's all I'm trying to get at. Again, this is just, it's not like this is what they should do. I'm just giving you an example of ways that you can do it to where you don't hurt the people that have been playing for a long time, but you make new systems that encourage new players to get into. That's not all about the item level. You know what I mean? What do you think about having ways to progress gear out? Well, Saint had another great idea. He said that what if there was a starter set of gear that new players could craft that isn't the strongest set of gear in the game, but you could craft it, like you could through your professions or something. Like, it's like, you know, like that beast gear from Vaulton is just dead now. The normal beast gear is just trash. Like, nobody uses it. What if there's something that you could craft and it's not going to be as strong as, because there are some people, bro, that never do clown. And there are a lot of them, dude. When you look at that Twitter post that they posted, the thing is, man, is like, again, I openly admit 100% that my perception of the game is different than everyone else's. And I noticed that when I was trying to do my own raids off stream, you know what I mean? So I'm just trying to think about it from the people that they have raid anxiety. They don't want to go into Brelshaza 1 through 4, or they don't want to go, they have raiding. There should be fun things for them to do that can maybe impress their character, not as strong as the people that are doing the raids, but options that give them a better starter set of gear, right? So I just would love to see more focus on that. And it's not necessarily vertical content, it's more horizontal. That could give you some vertical benefits, right? ATK's big copium take
Any
is that there's going to be an
software devs
engine
in chat,
update
how hard
announced
is it
at
for Lost
LOAON.
Ark to switch
I
to
don't know. I feel like for
UE4
some
or
reason I
even
just feel like that's
UE5,
so
and how
copium.
is it for me to hope the announce it
But
this
maybe, I don't know.
LOAON?
That's his copium take. I feel like that's super copium. Any software devs in the chat know how hard it is for Lost Ark to switch to UE4? I think it's super hard to go from UE3. But other games have done it, right? Didn't like Blade and Soul go from UE3 to UE4 or some shit? And it sucked? Yeah, I have no idea. No idea on how that works. I know a lot of you guys only care about the classes and raids, but I just feel like, dude, Lost Ark could totally benefit from having things that don't feel related to item level. Also, the other big take that I wanted to talk about, some ways, life skill, crafting, sailing, island boy content. And then I have one more take, 27. Things that I haven't even thought about. We'll talk about that in a second, which Saint also mentioned. My other one was more main content. I don't know what it could be. I don't know. No, I don't give a shit about. No, I don't want it to be hell modes. It's not easy to do hell. More main content. I don't know what it could be or how you could go about it. Just more things to play my main character if I wanted to. I don't know how you could do it. I don't know what they could think about on how to do that, but I think everyone has that moment where you're like, fuck, I really want to play my main character, and you can. Saint also said a good point where it's like, hell mode does not turn every alt into a main though, man. You're not even playing your main character. You're playing the Book of Coordination. You can literally be butt naked and do the same content. I want to use my character. I want to, like, with my gems, my weapon. I don't want to go like Book of Coordination Andy. It's not, it's just, also, it's like, the problem with hell mode 2 is like, it's probably, I'm going to be honest, from what I've heard from people, it's probably another thing where it's like super gatekeepy too, where like people are going to be like really toxic or gatekeepy because it's this like really hot, I don't know, it's like a really prestigious thing. On top of that, I do think the average player doesn't give a shit about a title. I thought that they would care more. I think if it gave you some badass thing that people like really saw, like that was like, holy fuck, that looks good, they would care more. I think most people don't give a shit about a title. Maybe they don't, maybe it's nothing, I don't know. I just think with something super competitive, that might not be for everyone. I think more things that you could engage with your main character could be fun. Anyway, I don't know what it could be. That's what I would say. The last thing would be things that I haven't even thought about yet. Last LOAON, dude, I swear to God, there was 2 things that I thought they should implement in the game, and they did. It was the change from blue crystals for extra loot at the end of the dungeon to gold. And then it was, fuck, dude, there was something else. I don't remember what it was. Whatever. They always change a bunch of shit that I haven't thought about. One of the things that Saint was saying was that because the game is now becoming so emphasis on your roster versus your character, why are so many of the mats bound? Like, I know it's like OP people were saying, but now we're at a point where like all of our characters are doing the same raids. Why are so many things are bound? Shouldn't they just be unbound and you should be able to send over shards or whatever? Like, imagine if like in the beginning it felt weird, but if a lot more materials or shards or anything were roster bound and you could just send them over. Like, for example, my Reaper, you know what I mean? It's like, fuck, bro, she's just sitting on all these mats that I don't want to play her. It'd be nice if I could send those over. They shouldn't, I don't think all of them they should be roster bound. Not that you can sell them, roster bound versus character bound, right? I think that would be nice. Has the bot situation got any better on any servers? Not really, man. Unfortunately, no. Unfortunately, no. The difference is, with the bot situations, they're just making it so that bots have a harder time doing things, but in return, it just hurts our ability to play the game. They just need to add, I don't know why they're so reluctant to make it harder to make an account. I'm not saying you need to attach a fucking social, but it just doesn't make any sense, man. Like, they make all the other systems inside the game. I really hope they talk about that. I really hope that at LOAON they talk about some things about the West. It's on this list that Saint made. Mentioning of the West in any capacity. Like, I really hope, I don't understand it, man. I don't understand why they don't do it. It doesn't make any sense if they don't. Isn't that more of a Steam thing? Yeah, but I feel like you can make requirements to do about that. Koreans talking about the West. But if you think about it, dude, you already, if Gold River shows up, like, This is just marketing, right? If Golden River goes there, Saint was talking about, it's like the WWE entrance, right? It's like fucking, if Gold River comes out on stage, dude, it's fucking like, you know, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, it's Gold D River, oh my fucking God, right? It's like that, right? It's the oh my God, right? So the whole point is like, it's Gold D River, it's Gold D River. So I just don't understand, like, fuck God Almighty, you know? So why don't they like, that's just marketing. If you know what you need to do, dude? This is why everyone sucks Yoshi P's cock, right? Because he like talks about the game, he talks about, you have to include everybody into, it doesn't make sense why you wouldn't mention the other regions. And if you look at like Last Winter LOAON, they actually talked about the West and Russia. They showed the charts and how the game was doing better. There was like a 20-minute segment on the other regions. Why would you not do it? It's free. It's free. You know what I'm saying? It's literally free to do. You just talk about it, things that you want to improve on, things that aren't going well. Why would you not do it? It doesn't make any sense. So I think these right here, I think these are the most important things to me. I think these of this list, overhauling, boss rush, and I'll change it. Here's what I care about the most. This is what I care about the most. Right here.